In my last video, I made sausijzenbroodjes. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll put the link right up here. When we posted them online, some people commented and asked, are those lumpias? Which are Indonesian style egg rolls filled with a lot of vegetables and some protein. We typically make them when we want to use up some vegetables we still have in the fridge and maybe some already cooked protein. Today we're going to make them fresh with ingredients specifically bought to make lumpias, but you can pretty much fill them with whatever you want. We buy wrappers at an Asian grocery store, and I will show you two different ways of rolling them up. Hi, I'm Toine, and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies, such as Indonesia. Today, we're making an Indonesian dish called lumpia. It is an egg roll filled with a good amount of vegetables and some protein. When I lived back in Utrecht and I was going downtown, I would typically visit a toko, the Indonesian word for shop, where they sold a lot of Asian ingredients, but typically also had a food counter. And they would sell the freshest lumpias. It makes for a great snack, and it is also a very good appetizer when you're making a rijsttafel. I have julienned all my vegetables that I'll be using to fill the lumpias with already. And when you prep your vegetables, just try to cut them in as even a size as possible across all the different vegetables so that your filling is uniform all the way across and you don't have one bite with a really big piece of onion and then the other bite with a really big piece of leek. So the vegetables I'm using are 1 large leek, 4 stalks of celery, 1 large white onion. You can use a yellow onion as well. I wouldn't use a Vidalia, it's too sweet and you don't want that sweetness in your lumpia. We actually had some bell pepper left, so I cut up the rest of the bell pepper. And for seasoning, we have 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce as well as 1 bouillon cube. The protein in my lumpias today is chicken breast. I have approximately a pound of chicken breast here, 400 grams. And I'm gonna actually cook it in the Instant Pot. I wanna shred it so it has a very similar texture to all the vegetables. And I'm gonna do that with a cup of chicken stock. Of course, a lumpia wouldn't be a lumpia without a wrapper around it. So we are using egg roll skins because I can't purchase lumpia skins around here. I am going to put my chicken stock into the Instant Pot. Add the chicken breast in there as well. Just nestle it in there next to each other. Splash the chicken stock all over the counter. Now that the chicken and the chicken stock is in the Instant Pot, put on the lid, lock it in place, make sure the vent is in the sealing position, and set it for high pressure for 10 minutes. While the Instant Pot is going, I'm going to stir fry all the vegetables. The goal here really is to stir fry these vegetables pretty quickly. You don't want them to be too soft. You want them to still have a little bit of a crunch to it. Really, we're going to wait until the end to add the soy sauce. The bouillon cube will actually be all the seasoning for these vegetables. I am preheating my pan. You want it to be pretty hot because you want that quick heat as you add the vegetables. I'm using grapeseed oil because we are doing this at a high temperature and you want to get an oil that has a high smoke point. So we're going to wait for the oil to just start smoking a little bit, and then we will add the celery and stir it through before we add the rest of the veggies. Alright, the oil is nice and hot. We're going to add the celery. Make sure you get it all. Keep stirring it around. You don't want to cook it until it's completely wilted. You want your lumpia vegetables still to have some crunch. I'm going to add the peppers now. Makes for nice colors also. The red with the green. Time to add the onion. Before I'm adding the leeks, I'm actually going to add the bouillon cube to it and just kind of break it apart and stir it through all the vegetables. Time to add the leeks. I think it is pretty good right now, so I'm going to add the soy sauce and just stir it through. I'm going to put this filling in a bowl and let it come to room temperature. When you are filling lumpias, you want to make sure that the filling is not warm. The warm filling will cause the lumpia skin to soften, which will make it harder to roll them, and can also cause it to burst open when you deep fry it. There is a good amount of liquid in the bottom of this pot. I typically do scoop it in the bowl, but will kind of pad the filling dry before I put it in the lumpia, because again, the moisture will cause that skin to soften. The chicken has come out of the Instant Pot, so now I want to shred it. I'm just going to use 2 forks. Another trick that you can do when the chicken is still warm is actually use your mixer. That is one very quick way. That only works if your chicken is still warm. If your chicken it has cooled off, that won't really work anymore. But it is a good way of shredding chicken very rapidly. So one of the reasons why I use chicken stock when cooking the chicken in the Instant Pot rather than just water is it imparts some extra flavor to it. I like that a lot better than just doing it in water. If you don't have chicken stock, you can definitely do the same thing in water and maybe add some herbs and spices yourself to just help flavor chicken a little bit more. The chicken is all shredded, so I'm now going to mix it through the vegetables. I'm going to use a pair of tongs for that, so I can really easily toss it all around. The last bit. And now we're just going to let it sit and come to room temperature. The filling has cooled off, so it's time to start rolling the lumpias. I have my station all set up. One of the things you will need is a slurry of flour and water until it has kind of this glue-like consistency. So I used about a cup of water and a cup of flour, 1-to-1 ratio. It all depends on the kind of flour you're using. So just mix it until it has this kind of sticky consistency. This works much better than water in keeping the lumpias together when they're being fried. I have the lumpia skins underneath a towel to make sure they don't dry out while I am rolling the others. I have my filling and I have a cookie sheet lined with a parchment paper to put them on as I make them. So here is a lumpia skin with the point towards you, and I have found that this method of rolling is the one that for me stays closed the best. I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of the filling, put it right there, fold the tip over, and then pull it back so it gets pretty tight in this direction, like that. And now we're going to fold these edges. One of the things you want to make sure is that this line goes towards the center so that you don't have big pieces kind of hanging over the edge. So now I have this big flap. I'm going to cover it with my slurry. And we are going to roll it. And that is pretty good. Seam down on the cookie sheet. Some slurry came out, so I'm going to wipe that off because otherwise it's going to stick to the bottom of the next one. Like I said in the beginning, I was going to show you 2 different ways of rolling them. So this way is not my preferred way. I personally like the method where you start in this kind of diamond shape rather than the square shape. But some people like this better, so I figured I would show you both ways, and that way you can experiment and pick the one that you like best. So again, I'm going to take a generous tablespoon, lay it here. We now need some slurry already over here because we're going to do a slightly different fold. So I put slurry like that. And the first is kind of the same. We're going to go over, just pull it in so it's tight. But now we're going to fold over this entire side like that. Same over here, like that. So this is all glued together now. We're going to add a little bit more slurry on this side and tuck it in and roll it. And that is a different way of folding them. Both work. Whichever one works best for you, whichever one you're more comfortable with is fine. I'm going to continue rolling the rest of the lumpias, and when I'm done with that, we'll come back and start deep frying them. I have my wok filled with grapeseed oil, heated up to approximately 360 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, and we're going to fry the lumpias. Now I fry them one at a time just because I don't want to overcrowd the pot and drop the temperature too much. So I'm just going to drop one in, and they're going to fry for approximately 5 minutes. You want to make sure that they are golden brown. The good thing is you don't have to worry about the inside, right? There is no raw meat on the inside. There is nothing that needs to be cooked to a certain temperature. So all you're gonna do is make sure that they are golden brown. I'm doing one at a time just because I don't want to drop the temperature of the oil too much, and I don't want the oil to rise too high so that if it starts bubbling up, it goes over the edge of the pot. We're going to just let this sit for 5 minutes or until it is golden brown. It's been 5 minutes, and look at that. That color is perfect. So I'm going to put it on this rack here above the oil just to let most of it drip off, and then I'm going to put it on this inverted rack on top of paper towel to completely drain it from all the oil. The oil is still at 360, so I can drop the second one in, and this is gonna sit here for 5 minutes or until it's golden brown. We fried a few, so it's time to taste one. When you make these, just let them cool off a little bit before you eat them after taking them out of the oil, because the inside can be quite scalding hot. I put some sweet chili sauce on the side. I will dip the lumpia in there. That's a very traditional way of doing it. Another typical topping would be pinda sauce or peanut sauce or a ketchup based sauce, but I like the sweet chili sauce. But first I'm gonna have a bite without any sauce, just by itself. Eet Smakelijk. The crunchy outside, the chicken is tender and very flavorful. You can taste just a little bit of that chicken bouillon cube that we put through the vegetables. The vegetables still have a crunch to it. This is just how I remember them. So now I'm going to dip it in the sauce. The sweet chili sauce that has a little bit of heat, some sweetness, combined with the delicious flavors inside the lumpia are just a fantastic combination. And it really tastes like how I remember getting them at the toko in Utrecht. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button and share it with your friends. If you have questions about making lumpias or you have fond memories of eating them from a toko in the Netherlands, please leave me a note in the comments below. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Man, these are good.